It's 2:15. It's Hawksby and Jacobs here on TalkSport. We're going to be joined in the studio by the former Stoke and Pompey defender, Lee Sandford. He moved into the city and he's written a new book, Goals to Gold, trading the football pitch for the financial markets.
Got into it and loved it. And for the first 18 months, it was a disaster, absolute nightmare. And then,
in what sense?
Well, I just lost money, and then I learned what to do properly. And then once you know what to do, then it's you can make some very nice money, nice living out of it.
So you kind of effectively operate with your own money. I mean, because obviously you can go and do this for companies anywhere in the city and beyond, as you say, in the States, wherever. But you've chosen to work for yourself as opposed to anybody else. Yeah,
I just like the freedom, Paul. I trade my own account. So I go to my office. I've got a 4-week-old little girl called Olivia, and I've got to get out of the house, and because I can't trade where the family's sort of, with the young kids around. So
are you shouting?
No.
Standing in a jacket in the living room, shouting at monitors.
No, it's all over, through the computer. It's instant now. You can place a trade pretty within half a second. And I'll be trading things like gold and oil and the Forex currency market. And sometimes, like, start this week and finish by 11 a.m. in the morning, and I could choose to do something else. And
early start. My wife used to work in that sector, so a lot of early starts. Often the boys start. They've got to look at the markets around the world, depending on where they're trading.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not really everything you see on the TV or you hear or you see on films is not what it's all about, really. It's over the computer, through the internet. It's instant. I trade electronically, and I can just sit in my office with my shorts and flip-flops on and trade the markets. I don't wear braces and things like that.
Yeah.
I haven't got the pinstripes. I know.
So is the book, rather than a biography, is the book a kind of self-help for people that want to do this sort of thing? Or?
It is a bit, yeah. It's a lot of sort of psychology in there and mindset. And the first half of the book is sort of the football side of things, and then it goes, it talks about, when I was at Liverpool, I was playing, well, I wasn't at Liverpool, but I was playing for Pompey against Liverpool at the age of 17, and, I'd completely flopped. I was a disaster, and it was also my mindset.
You got a bit starstruck. I was reading that chapter. You kind of looked at all these players you'd watched on telly and just lost it.
I did. I lost it, yeah. I just ran behind. It's really difficult to actually not touch the ball. And that's what I did. I literally ran behind players because I just froze. And I was 17. There was nobody helping you with psychology them days. And I just froze. And I looked back and I thought I'd never, after that experience, I thought I'd never want to do that again. So actually, while I was playing, I actually did go and see a sports psychologist who helped me sort of get through those challenges. And, when you go into trading, it's the same thing as well. So it's like a follow-on.
That was quite ahead of your time, really. You were young, and it was before it became the trendy thing it is now.
Yeah, it was. I just found a sports sort of psychologist, stroke counsellor, and it wasn't like, we'd get you on the sofa and let's talk about your
parents.
Yes, your parents and your child and things like that. It was just all about the voice that was talking to me in my head when I was on the pitch. Positive vibes, positive voice. To help me.
Was that kind of an inferiority complex? Was that the root of it? Did you feel you didn't belong in that company? Had you felt like that before this Liverpool game? Because obviously you played against big players you'd seen on Match of the Day before. So what was it about that day, do you know?
I think I just put myself under too much pressure, and it was the voice just saying, you're not worthy to be here in a way. Are you good enough to be playing at Anfield with Ian Rush and Alan Hansen and all those top players that I'd seen on TV? But it was just a one-off, really, and I'm really pleased it happened to me, because after that, I was just, we call it being in the zone. I was in the zone quite a few times throughout my my football career, because, I got my mindset right.
Well, we'll talk more with Lee Sandford in a few moments' time about the book Goals to Gold, and, interesting transition, and some of the other parallels there are between professional football and the new business he's in. You got any questions? Talksport.com/H&J. You can text to 81089 or tweet to TSH&J. We'll get the news and sports headlines for you shortly. Thank you, John.
I haven't heard that one before, so that's an old one, isn't it?
It certainly is. We're chatting to Lee Sandford in the studio. Blades and Stoke fans remember him well as a fine defender. He's written a book, Goals to Gold, Trading the Football Pitch for the Financial Markets. And one of the obvious parallels, Lee, I suppose, is losing and dealing with losing and not losing too much confidence through it.
Yeah, there's lots of parallels, really, Paul, about trading the markets and football side of things. I mean, let's start by saying that you have to be talented to be a football player, or some players, you would say some players, but you have to be talented to be a football player. But you don't have to be talented to be a trader. You can learn to trade the markets. And be taught how to do it. And if I can do it, I think anybody can do it.
So it's definitely a method. I asked you, didn't I, in the break there, is it gambling? Because I've always thought it feels like it's kind of gambling, but you say it isn't.
Well, it's what we're trying to do is we're managing risk on everything we do. If we're looking at the price of gold to go up, for example, there is a certain point when I'm going to cut that trade if it goes against me, and there is risk management on every single trade I'm doing. I'm not going into the markets to gamble and betting and making my the trade 50-50 probabilities. The trade probabilities are up at the 80-90% of success. So once we see that trade setting up, we just take the trade.
When they hear of trading like that, they think of Nick Leeson. And so they think of a very volatile market and huge amounts of money, but it doesn't all have to be at that sort of city level, does it?
Not at all. I mean, I teach, I've got mentorship students that I teach, and, their trading accounts can anything from be 5,000 up to 50,000. So, I'm teaching the people in the street to do it as well. It's anybody that's got surplus cash that can go out there and put some money into a trading account and trade the market.
And you trade live, and they kind of watch you in action, and they learn from. Is that the way the process works?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain types of traders. I'm a day trader as well, where I get into the office in the morning, turn the computers on, and I day trade my own account, and I'm looking to make money pretty quickly in the markets. Now, I do that live in front of a group of people that are sitting on a webinar. They could be in Brazil, Israel, wherever around the world, and watch as well, and they can trade along.
Are there expensive setup costs? Obviously, you've got to have access to everything and the technology to do that.
Not these days. It used to be, Paul, a long time ago, but, you just need a computer, good internet connection, you need some good chart packages, because I'm a technical analysis trader where I look at pretty chart patterns on a chart on a computer, and these patterns keep repeating themselves, and we're trading other people and psychology and greed and fear, and that's what you've got to learn to do.
Could you teach me?
I could teach you pretty quickly.
I've had enough of this.
What are you going to announce it?
I haven't really.
Chelsea's winning. He feels like he's working.
That's it, I'm gone.
You two are veterans. You've been around for years, haven't you? You need a testimonial, you two.
We're going to play in our testimonial. I think that's probably gone. I can't see that happening. It kind of strikes me, Lee, that you got fed up with football, but if you'd wanted to stay in it, you'd have all the requirements to be an agent, an understanding of the game, a lot of experience, and a good financial knowledge.
But use the players' money and make them even more money.
Something they're never interested in. Because a lot of them are financial advisors, and they do a bit of other stuff as well.
They are, yeah. I just wanted to get away from football and sort of do other things, like go skiing, start a new business, and just get away from football in general. But
you never miss that. I mean, every player always says it's the boys, it was the dressing room. I missed that. That was the hardest thing. Did you miss that?
Yeah, and I missed the banter in the change rooms. It's a total different world. You can't go into a trading bank in the city and start talking about doing the jokes you used to do when you were playing football. It's a different world. You just can't do that. So it's much more professional, and I get my buzz. I present in front of. I get asked to speak at certain conferences, and they could be 50 people to 1,000 people. I present in front of, so I get my buzz doing that, being in front of an audience and presenting my stuff now.
So. I'd like to see you cutting some bloke's pinstripe trousers.
We'll talk more with Lee in a few moments' time. Robin Schoenhofer's rejoined us. Got a little bit of breaking news, Robin.
Out of the FA meeting this lunchtime, the FA has voted to impose a blanket ban on anyone working in football clubs betting on football matches. It's a blanket ban on anyone working in football clubs betting on football matches. Obviously, there's some recent events this week probably triggering that. We'll bring you more details in the news at 3.
Thanks very much, Robin. Yeah, that piece in the Telegraph today suggesting that could be in the offing. And
quite interesting to get the PFA's take.
We will look. Yeah, it would be. We will look to follow that up for you a little bit later on. But in light of the Ronnie Moore event, of course, Ronnie has lost his job. He's been sacked by Tranmere today for being in breach of his contract.
Now, I was thinking last night as I was reflecting on what a great night it was for Chelsea, that we mustn't forget this is a huge week for Sheffield United, isn't it? I mean, what an achievement they've done to get to the semi-final, and if they actually get to the final, it'll be something special for their fans, and you know the club really well.
It's great. The Blades, it's fantastic. I played in the semi-final against Newcastle at Old Trafford and marked Shearer, and we lost 1-0, and Shearer scored the goal, the person I was marking. but you know, it's a great experience. It's fantastic. You're one step away from Wembley. You dream, you know, when you're a young lad, you're just watching the cup finals. To get into Wembley was, for me, was fantastic for Stoke City. But yeah, fantastic for the Blades. I wish them all the best.
Let's ask all those old footballer questions. Who was the toughest centre forward you came up against then?
Well, I played against Shearer quite a lot, but Billy Whitehurst, centre forwards, was one of the hardest blokes, you know, in football. And he was tough to play against. But I'd say Shearer, yeah, and Ian Rush, played against him. He was so quick.
There are some legendary Billy Whitehurst stories, many of which we couldn't tell at this time of day, but I've heard a few from a few of his ex-teammates.
Yeah. Paul Mariner was a good player, you know, I played against him. Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
And Stoke, it's interesting the sort of transition that's happening with Stoke. They're playing a slightly different game, aren't they? But again, very passionate fans. It must have been a great place to play.
It's a great place. It really is. You know, people down Stoke on Trent, but it's a really great place. I went there at the age of 21, left at the age of 27. I had a great time. The fans are so passionate, and you know, if you do well for them, you know, you're part of the family for the rest of your life, and you know, part of their family for the rest of their lives in your life. They're brilliant. It's a great club. I'm so pleased for them. They get unfair press, and you know, they seem to be at the last game or match of the day, and they're not very popular, are they? You know, they're not very attractive. They come across like that, but you know, it's fantastic. I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, he's to be admired, Mark Hughes, for what he's trying to do there. And it's not easy with the type of player he inherited. It's going to take him a bit of time. They should give him time. I'm sure they will.
They will do, yeah. I hope so.
With a little bit of distance then, Lee, would you find yourself ever coming back to football, or do you enjoy it more now? Did you need that gap, that break to enjoy it?
That's a great question, Paul. Yeah, I really enjoy it now. In the first 3 years, I just couldn't be around or watch the game at all, even the football on TV. I was so bored of it that I didn't want to be involved. I wanted to do other things, and now I just love it. But unfortunately, I'm a Spurs fan, so we don't.
Why Spurs then?
Well, my uncle, when I was a young lad, he used to work at White Hart Lane, and he used to take me to, he used to get me in to the ground and. Put me on the terraces.
What sort of era would that have been? What sort of team were you watching?
Oh, Glenn Hoddle, Aussie RD lads, Ricky Villa. And I'm at a Q&A on Thursday night, and Glenn's speaking, so he was my legend, well, he is my legend. You know, he's a legend for me, my hero.
And I saw you play at Fratton. I had a mate who was a Pompey fan and would travel down now and again. And that's a sad story. They fight on, really, but it's tough times, isn't it, for them?
Tough times, yeah, really tough times. So disappointing to see them where they are, but I'm sure they'll bounce back. You know, the fans owning the club now, I think it's great. It's where it should be. It's a great. Once again, the three clubs I played for, Sheffield United, Portsmouth and Stoke City, great fan base, and I was proud to play for all three of those.
We had a question. It says, I'm in the work share scheme, but want to do more. Not sure how to start though. Let me guess, buy the book. I think it's from Mark. That could be the advice from Lee.
Very much so.
What do you think Mark wants to get? He's kind of enjoyed doing it in a limited way at work for his company. How can he get more involved?
We get loads of people that come to us, Paul, that want to have a change of career, because that's what I did, and. You know, I didn't come from the city, so I was self-taught and also been taught by other people to trade, especially in America. But, you know, we've got a free workshop coming up on the 26th of April. Okay if I mention my company?
Of course it is. Yeah.
We've got a company called tradingcollege.co.uk. If you go to the website, there's a free workshop. People just come along, and for 4 hours you can just see what it's all about. And if it's for you, then just give it a go.
See you there.
See you there. I've lost it. It's Andy gone. Yeah. And finally, have you done any work with the PFA? It's a business that you went into after football. It probably is the kind of business that other footballers could go into. Have you ever been invited along via the PFA?
Well, I approached the PFA twice now, and we had several meetings, and it just didn't happen. I know there's lots of football players out there either gambling on horses or gambling in the financial markets, especially, well, my area is the financial markets, and for me, I was going to help football players do it the right way, but the PFA were not interested, so... you should ask them.
In light of the news we've had in the last half hour, that's very interesting. But look, Lee, it's been fascinating. Lovely to see you.
Yeah,
you guys.
Keep listening to Talk Sport. You've been putting faces to all the names because I know you spend a lot of time listening to the station during the day. So
yes.
Thanks ever so much for coming in.
Cheers,
Best
guys.
of luck with the book.
Thank you.
Goals to Gold by Lee Sandford. Trading the Football Pitch for the Financial Markets is published by Harriman House. Can people buy it and probably buy it via your website? Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, Harriman House, or they can go to tradingcollege.co.uk and they can buy it off there.
Yeah, you read it on holiday, and when you come back, I'll give you all my wages, and you can invest them each week.
Mate, that's a massive mistake. That is a huge mistake. Adrian Durham popped in. He's back at 4. He did pop in and say, Lee shook his hand. You featured him at one of the best games of football I ever saw. You beat... Stoke beat
3-3, I think.
It was a 3-3 draw for Posh, but you beat him in the second leg.
Yeah, beat him in the second leg, 1-0. The late Paul Ware scored the winning goal, and that was the year we went to the Autoglass final at Wembley. It was brilliant.
Fantastic. So, Adrian back at 4 alongside Goffey.